Ich glaube, das eben das ging länger als ich wollte. Lul. Was? So. Avu. Avu. Avu, avu. Oh, ich probiere jetzt mal was anderes aus zum Zocken. Die legen wir mal vorsichtig hier auf den Boden. Blöd ist. Ach so. Rocco, das ist deine. Wenn er dem Papa das mal gesagt hätte, ne? Deshalb war das so verwirrend verkabelt hier. Ich habe mich nämlich hier selber eingewickelt gerade. Ne? Ja. Oh. Oh. Oh, das ist gut, dieser. Oh, Knacks. Dann warten wir mal, ne? Jo. Schlaf du ruhig. Wer darf das? Oh. Boah, die Heizung ist auf einmal so heiß hier drin, dass du sie kaum anfassen kannst. Oh ja, so lässt es sich schön spielen. Wenn ich die Musik auslasse, könnte YouTube mir keinen Strick drehen. Das finde ich im Prinzip auch geil. Aber ganz ehrlich, dann soll YouTube hingehen und mir die Spielstände löschen. Also die Dinger löschen, dann ist das halt so. Naja, da oben geht es ja gleich weiter. Aber ich kann ja jetzt nicht einfach weiterspielen. Das kann ich nicht machen, das geht nicht. Ah, wunderbar. Gut, du weißt ja noch, was beim letzten Mal hier passiert ist, mit dem Drachen steigen lassen. Gut, wiederholen könnte ich es eh nicht mehr. Ganz normal
My mom
weiter.
moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get. Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
So. Okay. Cool.
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
Ach so. Die hat sich einen Currymann mitgeholt. Lul. So, dann schauen wir uns mal um, wo es weitergehen könnte. Ich dachte, da oben ging es weiter, aber scheinbar nicht. Ei. Ich gucke mich doch lieber nochmal da oben um, nicht, dass ich jetzt was übersehen habe. Ja, dachte ich mir nämlich
My
schon.
mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later. When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back.
Ja, Mann, wir haben hier eigene Beete gehabt.
And to see kids in the house again.
Ja, Mann.
The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal. But it didn't last. The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle. After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
Ich muss sagen, ich finde das schon genial gelöst. Hier drin zu schlafen ist bestimmt saugeil.
Milton Finch Inn, the magic paintbrush.
Jetzt will ich auch ein Stück Kuchen.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared. Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Ich habe keine Ahnung. Ich komme bei der Geschichte sowieso noch nicht ganz mit. Ich muss mir da erstmal eine Zusammenfassung in Klammern mal angucken.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Lewis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery. Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Lol.
Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery. But he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it.
Boah, das hier ist jetzt etwas schwierig, jetzt beides
He said he
gleichzeitig zu
started
machen.
small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis.
Okay.
He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis, until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on. In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a handsome queen. queen was on her own quest for sinister serpents. He followed the sound of her electric sitar.
Oh, keine Ahnung.
His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination.
Jo, wie viele Fische denn noch? Ich komme aber jetzt langsam hier nicht mehr hinterher. Okay, jetzt wird's komplizierter.
But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
Wow. Ja, ne, ich habe vor Jahren ein LP hiervon gesehen. Und wie gesagt, als ich gesehen habe, dass man es kostenlos laden kann, jetzt momentan.
Began to forget the world we know.
Null. Muss man Nintendo spielen. Also, ach, was ist da ein Spinn? Logisch, hier, Spielekonsole. Sag mal, Drogen.
I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt.
Schon krass, oder? Ja, okay. Der ist schon so in Gedanken, dass er noch nicht mal mehr bemerkt, dass er da überhaupt keinen Fisch hat.
I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him. was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head. I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Eines der vermutlich krassesten Enden in diesem Spiel, würde ich behaupten. Warte, da hinten war doch eine Tür, wo ich gucken wollte, was da ist. Hierüber ging es nämlich weiter.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left. My mom ended up leaving everything behind. What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night. That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
Ach, hier haben sie mich gerade rausgeworfen.
the power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles.
okay. War ein guter
When my
Nacht.
mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life.
So, okay.
But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. For a while, I wandered. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Das ist genau das, was du dachtest. So. So, und damit haben wir alle gefunden. Also das hier sind die Credits jetzt. Ich kann nur Pause drücken. Das Ende von allem habe ich gerade bekommen, die Trophäe. Jetzt können wir uns hier die Geschichte nochmal in Klammern im Schnelldurchgang anschauen. Danke, Johann. War die Trophäe da jetzt? Ja, dann lasst euch mal, oder lasst die Geschichte mal sacken. Ich weiß nicht, was ich da großartig zu sagen soll. Ich bin auch verblüfft von diesem Spiel. Ich habe es ewig nicht mehr gesehen. Und es dann selber so zu erleben, ist schon cool. Das ist im Prinzip eine sehr traurige Geschichte. So. Damit sind wir hier am Ende. Ich meine, ich habe jetzt erstmal kein weiteres Projekt dieser Qualität. Und ich werde mich aber bemühen, dass ich öfter versuche, sowas wie das hier jetzt zu bringen. Und man muss nicht weinen. Ich meine, das ist ein sehr trauriges Spiel. Aber es ist schon sehr nachdenklich. Es gibt 2 Familienmitglieder, die ich besonders schlimm fand. Das ist einmal von Louis und von Gregory. Also von dem Fischtypen, Fischmitarbeiter und dem Säugling. Das sind 2 Geschichten, die ihm besonders nahe gehen. Naja. Ich danke euch trotzdem für eure Aufmerksamkeit. Oder das heißt trotzdem, ich danke euch für eure Aufmerksamkeit. Und ja, auch relativ interessant. Muss man aber auch dazu sagen, mit der Katze, das war schon... Ja, die waren eigentlich alle relativ krass. Und das mit Edith. So, ist richtig. Verdeutschen alles. Das ist auch... Ja, ne. Und das andere, was du eben meintest, ja, das war ein Geburtskanal. Das kann ja mal passieren. Naja. Ich werde jetzt mal das Video beenden und ich sage, wir sehen uns beim nächsten Mal. Egal, was ich mache. Bis denne. Ja, geh schlafen, schlaf gut und lass dich nicht zu sehr hiervon runterziehen. Es ist nur ein Spiel, aber ein sehr geiles, atmosphärisches Spiel. Dann gute Nacht euch allen.